Yo, what's up? Um, I have a question for everyone. How come so many dudes are on the internet talking about Will Smith would not have smacked them, especially a lot of the comedians, with respect. I'm trying to understand this whole tough guy thing. I was listening to Kevin Hart and Corey Holcomb and all my favorite comedians, and all of them, they're just filled with so much machismo. They were saying how Will Smith knows who he can hit and who to try it with. And, in other words, they could not have imagined themselves being assaulted. And I don't think anybody can actually imagine, being assaulted live on TV at the Oscars. So sometimes I just think that we as men, I just think we're full of shit, to be honest with you. Excuse me. There's no other way to put it. Um, everybody always, they say that hindsight is 2020, and people think that they're just prepared all the time for combat. And I think in our community, that's the problem. People are somehow pre-programmed to respond in a case of conflict. They say that naturally organisms are hardwired to fight or flee, which means that you just want to defend yourself enough to get out of a situation, not to do harm. And I think that Chris Rock sort of showed that he could defend himself. Yes, I said that, defend himself without really punching and hurting Will Smith. And although Smith is considerably larger than Chris Rock, I think Chris Rock showed tremendous poise, elegance, and self confidence. Never at any point did he demonstrate weakness to me, whatever that means. In our communities, weakness is just always looked at as if you don't confront violence with more violence, then you're weak. I've heard so many different scenarios play out in people's fantasies regarding how they would have handled the situation at the Oscars. And let me just say, you don't know. You don't know what you would have done. Perhaps, you know, and I'm not saying that you're not aware of how to defend yourself. That's not the same thing. I'm saying that the situation, the conditions can sometimes throw you off your game. You are at work. You're generally not expecting to be assaulted at work. So one, you could be thrown off your game that way. Two, you got lights and cameras all around you. There's, in theory, supposed to be plenty of security, so you're not expecting that anybody's going to walk up on the stage and punch you. Your defenses are down, your guard is down. Let's stop pretending that we are somehow all of these, Jet Li, Bruce Lee types that are always ready to, go into stealth mode and kick butt and cha cha and all kinds of things. And it's just been so crazy. You know, everybody's a tough guy. And that's the problem. Don't you see that we have to check our rage? Don't you see that it's important that we get in touch with ourselves? One of the biggest problems in our communities is this fear of being viewed as weak, being seen as a coward, being seen as somebody who can't, stand up for himself. And, you know, we all can be caught off guard. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are. You may find yourself in a situation and you might wish later on that you would have handled it differently. We all have that same recording in our mind. Something goes down that we don't like very much, that makes us uncomfortable. It could result in an argument, it could result in a fight. We walk away, and as we've walked away, we wish we could have handled the situation differently. Sometimes we might wish we could have, kicked the other guy's ass. I don't know. But I think it's very sad that at the end of the day, that is the main aim. The main aim is I'm going to get you before you get me. That's a terrible way to interact with life. It's a terrible way, in my personal opinion, to constantly be on your guard. That is why I don't support guns. I think it's terrible to be strapped. I think that's crazy. You know, and look, let's talk about Will Smith for a second, because again, when I speak about Will Smith, I'm speaking about myself. The fact that this man was chided and, made fun of and disparaged for a lot of during the early part of his career because he wasn't viewed as masculine enough. During his days as the Fresh Prince, his music for the most part was very loving. It was very, very fun, quite innocent, very G to PG rated. And after in the early 90s, after gangster rap took off, people gave Will Smith even more flack. And they wondered, how come he didn't curse in his lyrics? Why doesn't he, adopt a more um, hardcore persona. You see what happened when Hammer tried that. Remember MC Hammer? He went from MC Hammer to Hammer, and he went basically from "You Can't Touch This," "Too Legit to Quit" to the Funky Headhunter. The Funky Headhunter, and again, it ended up going completely backwards. It didn't work out well for Hammer's creative image. Why do we have to change ourselves just to please the masses? And I've always admired Will Smith for not changing himself and being true to himself, to his authenticity. You know, if you're a nice guy, be a nice guy. There's nothing wrong with that. They say nice guys finish last, and nice guys don't get the pretty girl and all that. Yeah, you know what? She's probably not for you anyway, guy. If you got to change yourself, this is how come I hate self-help manuals that encourage guys, you know, on how to approach women the right way. I think it's just BS, man. Who's You can take tips and you can listen to other people's quote unquote advice, but your own growth and development happens at its own time. People are far more complicated and we're wired a little bit more complex than simply doing X, Y, and Z, then all of a sudden your problems are solved. Look, if self help books truly worked, wouldn't the world be a much better place? Wouldn't it be in a better shape? Wouldn't we all know how to get along with each other? Wouldn't all of our dreams come true and so forth? So there's definitely something more to this game than you becoming a quote unquote real man. If anything, become the best version of yourself that you can be. That's wise advice, but you're going to have to do that according to your own growth and development, right? So, um, another point that I would like to make, there's nothing wrong with backing off from a fight. There's nothing wrong with that. And please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying not to fight. I'm saying you don't have to hit someone unless absolutely provoked and cornered. Chris Rock knew one, he wasn't cornered. There was no reason for him, to attack Will Smith at work. And, I heard Shannon Sharp respectfully say he would have came out of that tux. What does that mean, gentlemen? What does that actually mean? Again, we feel when we see something in others that is a reflection of ourselves, it makes us respond, it makes us react. So, what you're hearing from a lot of the machos, the moderators, and the comedians, what you're hearing is, I don't want that to happen to me. that couldn't be me. I could not picture myself being quote unquote slapped on national television. Wouldn't have happened to me. But I'm like, again, how can you say that? How can you say that? What control do you have over conditions? Very well could be you. And it wouldn't make you less of a man. We need to stop getting so caught up on this real man business. That's how people get hurt. That's how people end up in jail. And I think our buddy brother Will Smith forgot that. The fact that he again strolled up on stage and assaulted his good friend and fellow Hollywood A-lister, I might add. Chris Rock is a powerful individual in himself. And the fact that he did that and then walked away without no kind of, there were no repercussions, no type of consequences at that moment. To me, that screams volumes of corruption. That's screaming corruption. And that just kind of sort of shows you that in your quest for success, you might very well change who you really are. And this again is what when they interviewed Will Smith's mother, she said she'd never seen her son, strike somebody like this or lose it or go off like that. She told him he should, go on vacation. He needed some rest. That's great advice, Mom. Thank you, Mother Smith. But who actually went up there on stage? Was that Will Smith or was he in character? Was he channeling his inner Richard Williams? Because he had to play that character. I mean, remember, he won the Academy Award for playing that particular role. Why do we have to change ourselves before we accept ourselves? Why did Will Smith believe that in order to stand up for himself, he had to take the low road and assault another man because, as they say, he was defending his wife's honor? I didn't see that. What I saw was a man who felt humiliated and he wanted to humiliate another man. That's what I saw. Um, and I don't know, that just rubbed me the wrong way. But again, it showed me deep down that I have a need to handle my own problems, preferably with peace and diplomacy. So while you have a lot of the machos who believe, that they should handle their problems through violence, I stand for nonviolence, and I think that's what upset me the most about Will because I always thought that he was someone who stood on the side of nonviolence in his personal life. Again, you can play, you can be Mr. Mike Lowry in Bad Boys, and you can go out and shoot and kill the space monsters and Men in Black and Independence Day and all that. Great, but at the end of the day, Will, I always considered you a fellow gentleman and somebody who would definitely never allow himself to lose his cool to the point where he would resort to violence. And again, man, what I've learned is that we need to stop putting our heroes, our movie stars on pedestals. These guys are just human beings like everybody else. They're just richer. They're just like you and me. You know, we really, really need to stop, you know, supporting this celebrity culture actually, and need to keep it simple. Come down a little bit. Come off the high horse a little bit. Stop living vicariously through your favorite actor and favorite, rap star. And again, I'm saying this for myself. So, hey, cheers to just being an everyday Joe, right? Just being a regular, everyday Joe and enjoying the simple life. and finding beauty in the tranquility of what's around us. You might not have a big Oscar, you might not have won a Grammy, but you're somebody special as well. And I think that's what we need to remember. We have to be our own heroes. We have to look in the mirror and know that we are good enough because there's a lot of drama out there. And I think at the end, it's better to just stay yourself. I'm out. Thank you. Peace.